When the state charges an individual with a crime, a process begins. For 18 months, a team of journalists from ABC News had unprecedented access to the Arizona State Court system in Phoenix.
I'm asking for answers.
Take the deal.
Behind closed doors, we watched as the prosecution and the defense prepared their cases.
I would crucify you.
In the courtroom, their legal strategies unfolded.
So you were there.
And finally, inside the jury room,
It's obvious.
where, with the permission of the court and the jurors, we watched ordinary citizens determine another person's fate.
And I'll never, ever change my vote.
Tonight, 18-year-old Myra Barraza faces life in prison. She stabbed a man 60 times. The defense says he tried to rape her. The state says it was a vicious murder. A jury will decide. State versus Barraza.
I mean, I took somebody's life. Also, you know, someone's dad, someone's husband, someone's son, and it hurts. But I had to do it. It could have been me. It was all in self-defense.
Myra Barraza, who had never been in trouble with the law before, turned 18 in the Maricopa County Jail while she was awaiting trial for murder.
Everybody I've talked to about her, quiet, soft-spoken, never seen her act violently. I can't find anybody to say anything bad about her.
You can't measure Myra against other girls who are in high school and starting to date and going to the prom. That's not Myra's world. She plays men for money, she carries a knife, she goes out with a 47-year-old man.
On the night of May 4th, 2001, Myra had a first date with Gregorio Espinoza, a 47-year-old gardener who she'd spoken with casually.
They were supposed to go to dinner and go dancing. He shows up, he's still in his work clothes, and he's drunk, he's been drinking. Takes her to his house.
After they kissed in his truck, Myra says they went inside so he could change his clothes. He called her into the bedroom to help pick out an outfit. What happened next, she told her lawyers, was a shock.
He pushed me. I fell on the bed. He turned off the lights. He got on top of me. He pulled my underwears down. I was fighting him, pushing him off. I was screaming. I pushed him. I reached over my purse, and in my purse I carry a little knife. I couldn't see, but I raised my hand and just hit him with the knife.
There were two people inside that house when the crime was committed, and one of them's dead.
Prosecutor Sam Myers says what happened that night was not self-defense, but first-degree murder.
She got the light off, she got her knife in hand, and started going at him.
When the prosecutor first got to the crime scene, Detective Antonio Luna showed him around. He had been among the first to examine it.
Blood on the walls, blood on the bed, a tremendous amount of blood next to the nightstand. You could not tell from where the blood came from the victim because he was just drenched in it from head to the bottom of his feet. I'd never seen that much blood on somebody before in my life.
During the police investigation, Myra's name and number were found in the victim's truck. The first time they questioned her about her whereabouts that night, she lied.
Okay. All righty. What did you do Friday?
Friday, I went out.
Where'd you go?
Cruising.
Where do you cruise?
Just 43rd, 15th.
43rd Avenue?
We're just cruising around Phoenix.
Now, who'd you go with?
My girlfriend.
But days later, after talking with friends and family, Myra went to the police and admitted stabbing Gregorio. She told them it was in self-defense, that he had tried to rape her.
that he was like, I stabbed him because he wasn't helping me, and we were fighting for the knife, and he didn't let me go until I stopped when he like stopped. And he, like,
Detective Kim Seagraves asked Myra how often she used the knife during the struggle.
How many times did you stab him? I don't know. You don't know? A couple.
But as they were questioning Myra, police already knew the number of stab wounds.
60 stab wounds is a lot of stab wounds. I can see 10, 13 stab wounds, 15 maybe. Get off me if it really did happen. But once you stab somebody and this person is bleeding, why continue stabbing this person if it's self-defense? It was brutal. I've never encountered anything like that before. All right, go.
Yeah.
My name is Detective Luna. I'm the one in charge of this investigation. I don't tend to believe what you told the other detective, okay? I think it's not truthful. You're not being truthful. You're digging yourself a hole.
I told you guys what happened. Okay. I came here to tell you guys what happened.
All right, I'm here to tell you something right now, okay? Yeah. Right now, you are now under arrest for first-degree murder.
I told you guys that I came here to tell you guys what happened. You guys want to arrest me? What for? I didn't do anything.
First-degree murder.
I was trying to defend myself.
How were you trying to defend yourself?
He tried to rape me.
The person who's honestly innocent will sit there and call the police and say, hey, this is what happened. He tried to rape me. Come down here. Instead, you ran. It's not
Because I was scared.
No, Myra. I'll be back in a few minutes to get some paperwork done and we're done. So it's getting serious now, Myra. We're very serious.
Myra's been in custody since the day she told police her self-defense story. Her family raised what money they could to hire 2 attorneys who took the case for a fraction of their usual fee. The lawyer they're able to hire is Chad Schell. He's a friend of the family Myra babysits for, and this is his 4th murder trial. His associate on the case is Scott Silver, and this is only his 2nd. Key to their strategy is portraying their teenage client as the innocent prey of a much older predator.
You got a 47-year-old man messing around with a 17-year-old girl. What's he doing? Why is he found completely naked with a penis ring on? It's our belief that this was a traumatic experience, that she really doesn't remember what happened, that once this Gregorio Espinosa attempted to rape her, she basically lost it.
But prosecutor Sam Myers, a 7-year veteran, plans to prove Myra's actions that night were not those of an innocent victim.
You know, my strategy with Myra is that she's just an absolute liar. When you understand that she stabbed somebody 60 times and that a week before she told her friends she wanted to slit a guy's throat, that's not a sympathetic person. And so the defense has to do some damage control.
8 weeks before the trial, the defense team seeks out an expert witness, a psychologist who could help them defuse the 2 biggest problems for their self-defense case: why Myra fled and the number of stab wounds.
I think she had a post-traumatic stress reaction to the murder, to the whole thing when it happened, and she was in such a state of shock when this occurred. There's no reason to stab someone 61 times. And and of course not remembering is part of the traumatic reaction to it. But, you know, once they're dead and you're still stabbing, something else is going on.
Dr. Lorna Scheifetz interviewed Myra at length to probe her psychological background.
You know, basically what she's learned is that she's a sex object.
I think that's clear based upon the way she dresses.
Yes. If you can't have power in any other way and you think you can have power as a sex object, it's kind of a screwed up way, because then you're more likely to be victimized. But you might just get some control over men when you never did before.
Scheifetz says that Myra had told her she was molested by a stranger as a child and date raped as a teenager.
Or do we need to get into the prior rapes? It brings a lot of sympathy in Myra.
I think it does.
As long as you think she can withstand cross-examination.
Don't put it on me.
What would be so bad about calling her?
Well, that's what Chad and I are debating. I'm not as against it as Chad is.
They're concerned about Myra's emotional fragility, intensified by the years she has spent in jail awaiting trial.
Having a lot of problems, sleeping, eating, being away from my family, really close to my family. I miss. It's hard. I just want to go home. It's not easy being in here.
ABC News State versus Barraza will continue.
Myra Barraza's attorneys have some tough things to explain to a jury. 60 stab wounds inflicted by a client who says she only remembers a few, fled the scene, and lied to police.
There's no getting around hours and hours of lies. The defense can put her up there. I'm going to go through a half hour of you lied, you lied, you lied. If they put her up, they're going to wish that they didn't.
Her lawyers continue to weigh the risks of putting Myra on the stand against the benefits that might be gained from jury sympathy. With the trial approaching, they arrive for a practice session that defense lawyers call sandpapering. They take the role of the prosecutor and ask what they expect will be his toughest questions.
Ma'am, isn't it true that you told the police that you didn't ever go to Gregario's house?
Correct.
And isn't it also true you told him that you'd never even been in his truck?
Correct.
So you lied.
Yes.
So you lied to the police, and now you're sitting up here on this witness stand crying and trying to get us to believe more lies.
They're not lies.
Well, ma'am,
I don't think
I'll ask the questions. Ma'am, is it your story that you were being raped?
Yes.
Ma'am, isn't it true you were drinking beer with him and making out with him, and you were attempting to get his clothes off in a compromising position so you could kill him?
That's not true.
Well, how do we know which one's the truth and which one isn't?
I'm telling the truth. I was just scared.
Well, why didn't you tell the truth back on May 7th, the first time the police talked to you?
Because I was scared.
She lies to the authorities. She's scared. I don't know how many times. I don't think you can say scared enough. Doesn't know what to do. She's not sophisticated.
The defense plans to show Myra as a confused young girl, but the prosecution plans to introduce evidence that portrays her as a calculating killer.
She talks about slitting. A week beforehand, Myra told her friends what was going to happen. A guy's throat.
They're relying upon the statement that she supposedly told this girl that she wants to suck on guys' necks, slash their throats, and rob them. If that's what they're relying upon for premeditation, I don't know. That's pretty weak.
Hi, this is Sam Myers at the County Attorney's Office. Can you just let Dr. Lang know that I am on my way? We have a 3:30.
Dr. Gina Lang is the prosecution psychologist. If the defense argues that Myra was suffering from post-traumatic stress, Sam wants to be able to counter with his own expert. 2 weeks before the trial, Dr. Lang arrives at the county jail to probe Myra's psychological background. She's accompanied by Myra's defense attorney, Chad Schell.
Okay, what are your parents' names?
Blanca. And Jesus.
Okay. And is Jesus your stepfather?
Yeah.
Okay, because you said you didn't know your real father. Do you know your real father's name?
Juan.
Juan. Okay. Let's see. What kind of personality would you say your mom has? What kind of person is your mom? What's wrong? You don't want to be interviewed anymore?
Myra's obvious distress during the simplest questioning does not bode well for how she might perform on the witness stand.
I think Myra's a very confused young girl. I can't really get her to open up. I've had trouble getting her to open up. She claims to be a lesbian, that she really doesn't like men. However, she admits that she would go out with men, you know, have them pay for things. I think that she had a very tough upbringing. I think she was molested. I think she was raped previously. And I think she had a sincere dislike for males in general.
As the trial approaches, her lawyers still have two major decisions to make about her defense. Will they introduce testimony about Myra's stories of abuse, and more importantly, whether they will call Myra herself?
I don't know if we will make that decision of whether she's going to take the stand or not until the very last minute.
All right. The last minute is rapidly approaching. On April 30th, Myra Barraza's trial begins with jury selection. From an initial pool of 45, 12 jurors and 2 alternates will remain after each side weeds out the prospects they like least.
All right, I'll tell you who I didn't like.
Do you remember that?
Number 1, I thought he was too young, the young male.
The younger crowd, the better I think we are. I don't think we want older people, do you?
Number 16, postal worker. I just didn't get a good vibe from her.
All right, you want to get rid of 10? She's the one that was sitting where Scott was. She's overweight. We've learned that overweight women seem to be very unsympathetic. I know we want to keep women on, but I think we want to get rid of her.
I got rid of the people that I didn't want, and Chad got rid of the people that he didn't want, and we got what's left, and they're okay.
Raise your right hands and be sworn.
This was the jury of the defendant's peers, 8 men and 6 women. They varied in age and occupation. Among them, a salesman, a bank teller, a pharmacist.
So help you God. Please be seated.
Their decision controls her fate. The range of possibilities: Myra could go home or spend the rest of her life in prison.
ABC News State versus Barraza will continue in a moment. Continues.
You know, it's basically going to be, where did you live, where did you grow up?
Yvonne says, if she tells the cop that it's on video, I watch it.
On the afternoon of the first day of trial, everyone reassembles from the break after jury selection.
So you like our jury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
The man in the corner keeps smiling over here, but I don't know.
Keep smiling.
Stop trying to make eye contact.
I'm not. When he walked out, he smiled.
And you never know those.
Yeah, they smile at you and then
They're
they...
smiling thinking...
He's going to kind of be wherever we can squeeze him.
It's time for last-minute preparations and strategy refinement.
We're going to be able to show that Gregorio was not a nice guy and that we think he had planned this. As of right now, we're not planning on calling Dr. Scheifetz or you.
Not now? What about the state doctor? Took some tests?
The defense has decided it was too risky to open up Myra's psychological background with her stories of rape and abuse.
That's the one that we got. That abuse part, I think it hurts us. I think that the jury could get the impression that she had been raped previously and she had a vendetta against men. So I don't even want to get into it.
The jurors will never know Myra's claims of previous sexual assaults as they listen to a trial with 2 major components: sex and violence.
State may now proceed.
May it please the court and counsel. Myra started telling her friends that she wanted to get a guy, get him into position, suck on his neck, slit his throat, and then take his stuff. And by the end of the evidence, you will be convinced that Myra committed a premeditated murder.
Thank you. Does the defense wish to proceed with opening statement this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please do.
Gregorio Espinoza is standing there, completely naked, with a penis ring on his penis.
The defense strategy is to take the blame off their client and to put it on her alleged attacker.
He grabs Myra and he pushes her down onto the bed. He then goes over and jumps on top of Myra, starts making comments to her such as, I want you, and she is screaming no, and she starts stabbing him. Myra Barraza was acting in self-defense. She's not guilty.
State calls Jose Espinoza.
The prosecution's first witness is the victim's brother.
Will the witness please come forward?
Sam knows that the dead man's past behavior with women may be the weakest part of his case.
Raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear that the testimony...
He wants those issues disposed of early in the trial.
Did you ever know Gregorio to force himself on a woman?
No. He would never. Even when he was younger, he never would do that. He wouldn't force himself on a person like that.
I hate doing those types of witnesses where, you're sympathetic for the guy. His brother was killed. And you don't want to, you really don't like having to attack the dead guy either. But you got to do it to protect Myra. Would he pick up girls, including hookers?
My brother used to tell me he used to do those sort of things. Now, everybody brags about those sort of things when you're young, right?
Did Gregorio tell you that he had met a lesbian girl?
Yes.
And that the girl was very attractive?
Yeah.
And that the girl was very well built?
Yeah.
And that he was interested in getting in her pants?
Well, he told me that his thing was that since she was a lesbian, that she had agreed to take her girlfriend so they can have a threesome. And that was a fantasy that he had, was to have a threesome.
I think they're trying to lead us down the road of Gregorio bad guy. Gregorio sexual bad guy.
5 or 6 months before his death, he wanted to have sex with you. You didn't want to, but he got his way.
From Gregorio's common-law wife, the defense hopes to show his potential for violence.
He grabbed you with force, correct?
Yes.
And it was with enough force that you told him that that was rape.
Yes.
From my perspective, it just makes them look like they're bashing a dead person. Do you recognize exhibit number 45?
I do.
Having dealt with the victim's past, Sam wants to focus attention back on Myra's actions that night and calls the county medical examiner.
I counted a total of 60, that's 60 wounds. They are over the chest, neck, back, scalp, hands.
Were there any wounds depicted on this exhibit that were significant to you?
Actually, the most significant wound on the whole body is wound number 43, which is the front of the neck.
Sam hopes the significance of the neck wound will resonate in the testimony of a key witness for the prosecution, Sandy Gonzalez.
Your full name, raise your right hand and be sworn.
A friend of Myra's, Sam thinks Sandy holds the key to the crime being premeditated and therefore first-degree murder.
Back about a year ago, did you ever see Myra carrying anything unusual in her purse?
A knife.
A knife?
Yes.
Did Myra say what she would do with the knife?
Yes.
What did she say?
That we were watching TV and something had came up and she said that she'd do that. Kiss a guy and slit his throat.
Do you remember that she was trying to get you to believe she was serious? She was trying to prove to you she was serious?
No, I took it as a joke.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examine.
Have you ever known Myra to be a violent person?
No.
You ever seen Myra get in fights or cause trouble?
No, I have not.
Does Myra like to joke around a lot?
Yeah.
We don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Kim Seagraves.
What do you do?
I'm a detective with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office.
Detective Seagraves interrogated Myra at length.
Okay, so I'm on the bed and I stab him again.
For 2 days in the courtroom, the jury watched the tape of that interview.
And then I pulled it out.
How many times did you stab him?
I don't know.
You don't know?
A couple. Maybe like 5, 8, I don't know. I wasn't counting.
Okay.
It's just lie after lie after lie, and she just kind of gets in deeper and deeper. I think that the defense had to be hating every moment of that videotape. It just looks really bad.
Look at me. That tape kicks our ass.
I think the impression that most people get is that she's a cold-blooded killer. We've got to get over that.
Right.
You said you wanted to suck on a guy's neck and slit their throat.
What?
Would that be a truth or a lie?
Suck on their... No, I never said that.
You never said that?
No.
The defense hopes to diffuse the impact of the tapes by turning one of the most provocative parts of Detective Seagrave's interview to their advantage.
You became aware of a statement that was made between some girls, correct? About a week before this incident on May 4th?
Yes.
And that statement or statements included possibly sucking on a neck and slashing a throat?
Yes.
And possibly robbing people and killing them, correct?
Yes.
All right. Is there any evidence at all that there was a robbery that took place in this house?
There was a statement by Myra.
All right, let me rephrase my question. Is there any physical evidence in that house that reflects a robbery took place?
Here again, other than a statement that Myra had said.
Listen to the question. He's asking about physical evidence, not a statement by anybody.
I still would say yes.
There was quite a bit of money found in that bedroom, wasn't there?
Yes.
And let me show you Exhibit 99. That reflects a wallet, correct? That had $121 in it and 5 credit cards, and that was right in the closet?
Yes.
And wasn't there also $1,092 in cash found in one of the dresser drawers?
That's true.
And it was all there after Myra had left?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
We'll take our lunch recess now, ladies and gentlemen, until 1:30. Please remember the admonition.
All right.
Hang in there. I'm telling you. Did she score any points up there today? No. She looks like a fool.
She does. She really does.
So hang in there. Don't be depressed. It's going to be done. Let's hope you're home by Mother's Day. All right?
Please call your first witness.
Testimony ends on the trial's 6th day, and it ends without hearing from Myra Barraza.
And the problem is if she takes the stand and she folds under the pressure and she gets emotional or she gets upset, then there's a risk that she's going to look guilty. Her testimony isn't going to set her free. Let's put it that way. It could convict her. Defense calls Elena Celaya.
They chose instead to underscore the theme they began the trial with, that Gregorio Espinosa was a sexual predator. They call a married woman who says Gregorio made unwanted sexual advances to her.
She tells me that she was scared of him and that she thought he was a pervert. And I could use both of those statements.
Y yo le dije que se saliera, le dije, sálgase de aquí, le dije, no lo quiero ver más aquí.
He looked at me with desire as if he wanted to, like, touch me or something. And then my children showed up, and he got up, and when my children showed up, I said, leave. I said, I don't want to see you around here anymore.
Do you remember if he came back to your house?
Sí.
Yes.
And what did he say when he came back?
Me parecía mucho yo a ella.
He just apologized. He said that maybe he was mixing me up with somebody else, but that I really resembled her.
I have no further question.
Cross-examine.
Thank you. Good morning, Miss Celaya.
Good morning.
When Gregorio came over to your house, the first time when he was disrespectful, he left when you asked him to leave, didn't he?
Sí. Yes.
And he came back the second time to apologize, right?
Yes,
And when you saw him in the future, he was perfectly respectful to you, right?
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions. I think she helped me. I think she made Gregorio sound like a nice guy. He thought she was somebody that had flirted with him earlier. She said, no, leave. He left. And then he came back and apologized. I mean, what more would I ask from my victim?
She's telling the truth. It had to be a shocking, frightful experience for the girl.
Myra stabs a 47-year-old man 60 times and leaves without a scratch, which tells me that this was not an out-and-out battle. This was a surprise attack.
The evidence reflects only one person had a plan here. Gregorio had the plan. He had the motive. The motive is clear. He wanted to have sex with the 17-year-old lesbian.
She thought she would get away with it. She didn't. She plans a murder. She does a murder. She's got to be held accountable. And that is done by you finding her guilty of first-degree murder.
Myra is not guilty because she was acting in self-defense. That's clear. Her life is in your hands.
ABC News State versus Barraza continues.
After listening to 6 days of testimony, it is time for the Barraza jury to begin deliberations. Their first order of business is electing a foreperson. Bank teller Aaron Frank volunteers, and no one objects. And so they begin.
She is obviously a consummate liar. She is a consummate liar.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, she gets the Academy Award for trying to look pathetic. The face,
her eyes were bugging me.
Oh,
she was squinting. She saw cross.
As they begin to re-examine the evidence, they know they are expected to come to a unanimous agreement on whether or not she is guilty.
You know what I'm saying? When you're winging a knife 60 times.
And if guilty, to what degree?
It was a surprise attack.
There are 4 possible guilty verdicts: negligent homicide, manslaughter, second-degree murder, or first-degree murder. The jurors are not allowed to consider the penalties, but they range from probation to life imprisonment.
I'll start off murder in the first right here.
You think it's murder in the first? You think she had premeditation?
Absolutely.
I'm not too sure with full 100% first degree murder right now.
Yeah, me either.
I think she did it.
You think she's guilty for first degree?
Murder in the first degree, guilty.
There's no doubt in my mind that she took it too far.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but do I think that she was acting in self-defense? To me, it's probable.
Tomorrow, one of the youngest jurors emerged as the defendant's most vocal supporter as the first day of deliberations ended without a verdict.
The younger blonde female. There were times when I felt like she was not with me. I guess I'm just resigned at this point to think that it's going to be long deliberations.
On the second day of deliberations, the jury reviews Myra's confession tapes, trying to determine if what happened in that house that night was a rape or a setup.
You said you wanted to suck on a guy's neck and slit their throat.
What?
Would that be a truth or a lie?
Suck on their... No, I never said that.
You never said that?
No.
Kiss on their neck? Suck on their neck?
Where did they get that? No, I never suck on their neck.
Well, they got it from you.
They said that? I didn't...
Is it possible you said it? You just don't remember?
No, I didn't say that. The conversation was not about that. We were just talking about the knife.
Well, it's kind of interesting because...
As the jury continues without consensus, Myra's stay in the Maricopa County Jail stretches into its 53rd week.
She's sitting here with her life on the line. I mean, if that jury comes back and gives her first-degree murder, I would hope that the judge would give her the absolute minimum, which is 25 years. But that's a long time for a 17-year-old girl. She comes out 42. I'm not even 42 yet.
On the third day of deliberations, everyone on the jury wants to convict Myra of something. On the one end, Matthew was voting for negligent homicide.
I just can't. I don't think she's intelligent enough to plan something like this out.
Tamara wants to convict her of manslaughter. The rest of the group wants first or second degree murder. Key is the question of whether or not the victim really tried to rape Myra.
By Myra's own admission, he was always nice to her, always respectful, never said one hint that she took anything bad towards her.
If you were mean to a woman, do you think the woman would go out with you?
Well, I'm just saying, if we're talking, that's how he is.
You want this chick to go out with you so you could fuck her. Do you really think you'd be mean to her?
Well, let's look at the evidence. When they get back to the house, this gal, nice young girl, obviously the dream of this somewhat sexually troubled middle-aged guy, what indication would I have at that point, all right, that I'm going to have to rape her? She's coming on to me. She's kissing me. She's swapping spit with me. She's doing the whole thing. Where's the evidence that she was attacked? No marks, No scratches, no bruises, no cuts, absolutely nothing. Where's the attempted rape?
I see where you're coming from, but I just can't say beyond a reasonable doubt. I can't say that. To me, I believe that she was acting in self-defense. She took it too far, therefore I think it's manslaughter.
If I would have just hit him initially, hit him as hard as I could in the head, he died. To me, that's self-defense. As soon as I pulled that knife out, that's manslaughter to me, because I used an instrument which I knew could cause death or serious bodily harm. And I slashed him twice in the heat of the moment, and he ended up dying from it. To me, that's manslaughter. But by 60 stab wounds, that moves it from self-defense, past manslaughter, to murder.
But I just can't say beyond a reasonable doubt that...
So bottom line, none of the facts, you're going to change your
I'm
mind,
never
right?
going to, just to put this out on the table, I'm not going to do first-degree murder. I mean, I'm not. If you definitely are and you're not changing your mind, we might as well call it a hung jury.
What are you going to say?
According to Arizona law, they must try to find the lesser charge on which they can all agree. They start down the list with second-degree murder.
I personally think it's first-degree murder, but so I'm not sure, I'm just like I'm settling, and I don't like to settle, but unfortunately, the way it's written, the way the law is written, it's almost like you got no choice.
I would go to second degree just to get it over with, because, I mean, I know people...
Well, I mean, we don't want to do it just to get it over with today. I mean, we don't think about the punishment, but this is somebody's life. That's right.
Yeah, but we don't.
They have come to an impasse. 10 jurors settle on murder in the second degree, but 2 are holding out for manslaughter.
To me, her story, yeah, it's possible.
Is there anything else we can do productively to help each other, to help me understand the way you feel, or are we just done now?
I keep looking at this second-degree murder on this piece of paper. The defendant caused the death of another person by conduct which she knew would cause serious physical injury. I think by those statements, I could go along with second-degree murder in which she knew that she could cause serious physical injury.
But there is still one undecided juror. If he doesn't go along, it will be a hung jury. Or they'll have to find a lesser charge on which they can all agree.
Sam Myers. Thank you. Bye. We have a verdict. Now I gotta pick out a tie. My lucky tie.
Hello? Got a verdict? All right, you heading down?
Yeah, I'm heading down. Are you heading down?
I'm going to pull into that. Yeah, if I can get out of here. All right, I'll call her. You get going. All right, bye.
Did you get a verdict?
Oh, my gosh.
Wish me luck.
The bottom of the ninth of the World Series, and you're either going to lose big or you're going to win big. And the only difference is that there's someone's liberty that's at stake here, and it's not just a game.
I imagine she's on pins and needles. I know I would be. I mean, her life's at stake.
Right here. Whoa. Are we going this way?
It's got to be tough, knowing that there's 12 people that are either going to determine whether you spend the rest of your life in prison or whether you're going to get to go home tonight.
After waiting through 3 days of deliberation, the participants in the Barraza trial are summoned to hear the jury's verdict.
Yeah. Somebody got big plans.
In the event that...
The jury waits while everyone gathers to hear their decision. The decision that, at this moment, only they know.
Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, counsel, and the defendant. Ladies and gentlemen, have you reached verdicts?
Yes.
Please hand forward to the bailiff all of the forms of verdict. Thank you.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, do find the defendant, Myra Isabel Barraza, unable to agree as to murder in the first degree. Foreperson number 4. Is this your true verdict? So say you one and all? We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action, upon our oath do find the defendant, Myra Isabel Barraza, guilty as to murder in the second degree. Foreperson number 4. Is this your true verdict? So say you one and all.
All right, this is where you're at now. It's 10 to 22. We've got to try to get it to 10 now, all right? So I'm going to get your family to start writing letters. We've got to try to get the time down as much as possible so that hopefully you can get out of here in 10 years if the appeals don't work, all right?